Okay, in this session, I am going to explain finite element analysis of the stepped bar. Here, I will show you how to find the displacements, stresses, and strains in the finite element in the stepped bar, and simultaneously, I will show you how to write the codes, finite element codes in Scilab software. Now, for this, I have taken this one problem unstepped bar. Now see, this is the problem. This is the problem. Here, here you have to find the displacement and elemental stresses, strains for a stepped bar, which is shown in this figure. For this problem, material of the bar is having modulus of elasticity 200 GPa. This end A and end D, these two ends are fixed and forces are applied as 50 kilonewton and 100 kilonewton at B and C. Now first step in finite element method is you have to discretize this. Now while discretization, you have to remember one thing: when there is a sudden change in the geometry, you have to put the node at that location. Again, if there is a sudden change in the loading, at that location also you have to put the node. That means you have to end the element at that location. I am going to use linear elements. So while discretization of this stepped bar, for this 300 millimeter length, we have to use one element, because at this location there is a sudden change in the geometry, that is cross sectional area is suddenly changed. Now from this B to C, we have to use second element, because from B to C there is uniform cross section, and at B also there is a sudden change, and at C also there is a sudden change in the cross section, as well as loads are applied at B and C. So uh, one element is required for this part from B to C. Now next element, that is the third element, it is required from C to D, that is the portion from the C to D. That means we have to discretize this stepped bar by using three elements. Now see, this is the discretization of this stepped bar by using three elements. Now here these elements are linear elements, therefore uh, each element has two nodes. These encircled numbers are showing the element number. This is element number 1, this is element number 2, and this is the element number 3. Now this element is for first part, this element it is for second part, and this third element is for part C to D. Now these are the node numbers. Here this is the node 1, and this node number 1, this is node number 2, this is node number 3, and this is node number 4. Node number 2 is connecting the element number 1 and element number 2. Node number 3 is connecting the element number 2 and 3. Now here in the problem, uh, diameters are given. So first you have to calculate the areas. Now this diameter is 25 millimeter. Its area is pi by 4 d square, that is 25 square. This is 50 millimeter. Its area is also pi by 4 50 square. This is 75 millimeter. Its area is pi by 4 75 square. Now you see these areas of the elements. Now this is the area of the first element, which is calculated from a regular equation. This is the area of second element, and this is the area of third element. Now simultaneously I will show you how to write the codes for this. Here we are repeating this operation three times. So when we want to write the program in Scilab, what you have to do, you write the function for this, because this is a repetitive calculation. Same equations we are using three times. So we are using function in Scilab. Now how to define the function in Scilab I will show you. Now I will open the Scilab. I will open the Scilab and I will go to the new file. Now here first I will define the input of the problem. Now input of the problem is here E is given, then lengths of these elements are given, then diameters of these elements are given. Then I will go for the function. Now first E modulus of elasticity E is equal to 200 GPa. Sorry, not necessary to write GPa. Right, here we have to convert that into Newton per millimeter square. So you multiply by 10 raised to 3. Next is over. Next diameter d1 is equal to 25. Next d2 is equal to 50. Next d3 is equal to 75. Next lengths are given. L1 it is 300. Next L2 it is 300. Next L3 it is 400. As per the problem definitions, this is the input. Now next I will define one function for calculation of the area. Now here in Scilab, for defining the function, that is a set of some codes. Now we have to use the function keyword, that is functi1. This keyword is used to write the function body. After that you write the return argument. That means which argument or which value we are going to return, which value of the variable, that is which variable you are going to return, that you have to write here. Suppose I will write the y. Now this equal to the, now which arguments are required for execution of the function. Now here we need only diameter. So first you write the function name and then you write the arguments, that is formal arguments. That is I will write the function E area, that is area of the element, and in arguments you write d because we need the diameter as the argument, because we are going to calculate the area for first element, second element and third element. Now while calculating the area for first element, we are transferring the value of diameter d1. For second element, this actual argument for second element is diameter of second element, that is d2. For third element, diameter is d3. Now next write the body of the function. In body of the function, write the equation for area calculation, and that you have to assign to the return argument. Now y is equal to next pi. For writing the pi, you write the percent pi. Percent pi means it is the constant value of the pi by 4. Now into d square, hat symbol is for the square. Okay, and this is the only body of the function. This is only one statement in the body of the function. Now after that you end the function, and for that you write end function keyword. Okay, end function keyword. Now here what will happen here, how it will execute, I will show you. Here when we call the function, suppose we have called the function for the calculation of the area of the first element. Now here while calling the function, we have to transfer the diameter of the first element as the actual argument, that will be received by the this d. That means value of the d1 will be received by this d, and this d is used for calculation of the y. Y will be calculated y as the area of the first element, and in the function call this value is transferred as a return argument. Okay, now here I will write the function call. Suppose area for the first element is suppose a1 equal to the write the name of the function e area in argument you transfer the d1. You transfer the d1. Now this is the area calculation for the first element. Now how it will work, I will show you. So here if I write a1 is equal to a area, d1 will be transferred to this d. Okay, d1 will be transferred to this d, and it will calculate the this pi by 4 into d square, that is d1 square, and this value of calculation will be assigned to y, and y is returned to this a1. Okay, now you can check here, display a1, it is, I will write here, it is area of first element. After that write the comma. Okay, now you save this program and you check whether it is calculating the area properly or not. Save it. Now I will save at specific location. I will write the name. Okay, save it and execute it. Now I will clear the screen and then I will execute. Now see this area and area calculated here. Area calculated here, it is 490.87, and this is also 490.87. That means our defined function is correct. So we'll use this same function for other things, other calculations, or other area of the other elements. Now I will copy this here. Now I want to calculate the area of second element. So I have to go for A2. Next, here it is A2, and while calculating or for calculating the area of second element, you transfer the value of D2. Okay. Next, here you display the A2. Now next one, calculate the area of third element A3. Now here you transfer the diameter D3 and display the A3. Okay. Now in this way I have called the function three times, that area function 3 times, and I have calculated the areas of the 3 elements. Okay. During each call I have transferred the diameters of the each element. Now again you execute. Now for execution you click on save and execute. Now click here. Now you see the output. Now first area is 490.87, second is 1963.49, third one 441786. Okay, that means area calculated are correct. After calculation of the area, next calculate the, here if I show you, now area we have calculated, this area is calculated. After calculating the area, you go to the stiffness calculation. Now stiffness matrix of the elements, that means for each element you have to calculate the stiffness matrix. You know the equation of the stiffness matrix. Now this is the equation for the stiffness matrix, that is A1 E1 by L1, that is AE by L into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Now this I have defined for first element, therefore I have written 1 as a superscript. K1 is equal to A1 E divided by L1. E is constant, therefore you can take E as it is. If it is different, then you have to go for E1, E2, E3 for elements A1 E divided by L1 into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Now here you put the values of A1 E1 or modulus of periodicity and L1. Okay. Now calculation of this stiffness matrix, you will get this. Now for second element, you use same equation, only difference is you put the area of second element and length of the second element. Now when we put the area of second element and length of the second element, you will get this as a stiffness matrix. Now for third element, you put the area of third element and length of the third element. Now here E is same. Again, after calculation of this, you will get this as a stiffness matrix for third element. Here also we are repeating same calculation with different arguments 3 times. So I am going to define the function for this also. Now how we can define the function for this, I will show you. Here this is the equation, and here we have to transfer the area, E and L. Area, E and L, these 3 arguments are required. Okay, these 3 arguments as a actual and formal arguments we need in the function, and one argument for receiving the value, that is a return argument. Okay, now how we can do this? For doing this, I will do here. Now write the function. Again, function will start with the function keyword fun cti1 function keyword. Now again I will write return argument. Again, you can use same name for the return argument because it is local to this function. Okay, this y is different and this y is different. It is local to function. Now I will write E stiffness as a function name. Now what you want to receive, that means how many variables you are going to receive: area, modulus of elasticity, and length. So I will write A, E and L. E and L. Now I will calculate first the AE by L. AE by L, it is required for all elements of the stiffness matrix. So I will give the name small k equal to A into E divided by L. Next, I will define the stiffness matrix, that is y is equal to in square bracket, because it is a matrix. Next, here it is multiplied by 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. So I will write here k, this is a k, this calculation is k into 1, it becomes k, it is minus k minus k k. So next element is minus k, this is the first row of the stiffness matrix, semicolon for second row. Now it is minus k and last element is k. Next I will end the function, okay. After completing this function, you calculate the stiffness matrices for each element by calling the E stiffness function. Now first you can call the E stiffness function for first element. So I will write k1 equal to k1 is the stiffness matrix of first element. Now I will call the function E stiffness. Now I will write the arguments as a A1 is the area of first element, A1. Next, E is constant, not necessary to write E1 E2. Okay, and we have defined same for all elements. Now length for first element is L1. Okay, now what will happen here A1 will be transferred to this A, that is value of A1. E value is transferred to this E. Okay, and length of the first element is transferred to this L. Okay, and after transferring these values, this calculation will be done, that is k is equal to A1 E divided by L1. This calculation will be done. Now after that, this matrix will be calculated, y is equal to k minus k minus k k. That is, when we take k out of the matrix, it becomes AE by L into 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Now how it will happen, you can see here I have called the function. Now I will display the k1, it is a stiffness matrix of first element. You can write here, I will write here stiffness matrix of element 1, stiffness matrix of element 1. Now after that, we will check this whether it is correct, defined function and defined arguments are correct or not. So you again press on save and execute, click here. Now check the output in console window. Now one error is there. What is that error? Okay, we will check on line number 22. There is error. What is that error? I will check it. Okay, one comma is missing here. This comma is required. Now I will execute it. Now you see this one here. This is a stiffness matrix. You can see the stiffness matrix of first element. It is 327.25. Again it is 327.25 into 10 raised to 3. Okay, minus 327.25 into 10 raised to 3. This also same. This also same. Okay. Next you repeat the same thing for remaining two elements. I will clear the screen this. Now I will go to the sine note here again. Now again I will write the same function, but here it is a stiffness matrix of second element. So K2 is equal to E stiffness as a function call, and we are transferring the value of A2 and L2. Okay, and this is your 2. This is a stiffness matrix of 2. Now I will write the same function again for K3. 3. This is 3. This is L3. Okay, and here it is 3 and 3. I have calculated here. I have completed the calculation of the three stiffness matrices, and now whether these calculations are correct or not, you check by executing this program again. Now I will execute it. Click here. Now you see the output. You see the stiffness matrix for first element, this one, it is correct. For second element, it is 10 raised to 3 into 1309. 1309 into 10 raised to 3. This is 1309 into 10 raised to 3. Same thing. Now you check for third element. Third element, it is 220 into 2208 or 2209 into 10 raised to 3. Okay, it is approximately same. Okay, when we convert into 10 raised to 3, you will get 2209. Okay, now after doing this calculation, you do the assembly of the stiffness matrices. Okay, these are the stiffness matrices. After that, you go for the assembly of the stiffness matrices. For assembly, now you see this discretized model or meshed model. It has 3 elements and 4 nodes, and here it is a stepped bar, means each node is moving in only one direction. So you have displacement at node number 1 in x direction, displacement at node number 2 in x direction, at 3 displacement in x direction, and 4 also displacement in x direction. That means here one element has 2 degrees of freedom. Okay, this degree of freedom is common between element number 1 and 2. So for this node we have 1 degree of freedom, for this node we have 1 degree of freedom, for this node we have 1 degree of freedom, and at node number 4 we have 1 degree of freedom. That means total degrees of freedom are 4. Okay, here 1 2 3 4. That means we have 4 displacements, and that 4 displacements are 4 degrees of freedom. And according to our rule, size of the stiffness matrix is equal to the total number of degrees of freedom are of model. So stiffness matrix size is 4 by 4. Your 4 by 4. Now how we can assemble that? So for understanding the assembly, you see the locations of the K1, that is stiffness matrix of the uh, element number 1, or stiffness matrix of the element number 1 in the global stiffness matrix, stiffness matrix of the element number 2 in global stiffness matrix, and this stiffness matrix of element number 3 in global stiffness matrix. Now see here, what I want to tell you here, you have 4 by 4 matrix, 4 by 4 matrix. Now while writing the 4 by 4 matrix, if you want to add the stiffness matrix of first element in that 4 by 4 matrix, here elements of the stiffness matrix which are corresponding to nodes which are not connected to that element are 0. That means here third node is not connected to the element number 1. So So stiffness matrix coefficient corresponding to this third node is 0. Again, fourth node is not connected to the element number 1. So stiffness matrix coefficient corresponding to this fourth node is 0. Okay. Now, so you will get the coefficients of the stiffness matrix at first row, second row, and first column and second column. Okay, and remaining terms in the stiffness matrix of the first element are 0. You can see here, you see this one, this is the stiffness matrix of first element. Here this is a K13, but third node is not connected to the element number 1, so you will get this term as 0. This is the K14, fourth node is not connected to the element number 1, so this 14 is 0. Now this is 31, again third node is not connected to element number 1, so it is 0. This is 41, this is 0 because fourth node is not connected to element number 1. Now you see here, this is 1 1 1 1, first node is connected to element number 1, therefore this term is non-zero. This is 1 2, second node is also connected to the element number 1, so this is non-zero. This is 2 1, second node is connected. 2 2, this is connected to the element number 1, therefore this term is also non-zero. So in global stiffness matrix, location of the stiffness coefficients of first element are at 1 1 1 2 2 1 and 2 2. Same thing when we go for the second element, locations of the coefficients of the stiffness matrix of the second element in the global stiffness matrix are at 2 2 2 3, because node number 1 is not connected to the element 2. 2 2 2 3 3 2 and 3 3. You can see here these are the locations of the coefficients of the stiffness matrix for element number 2. This is 2 2 because 2 is connected to the element number 2. 2 3 2 3, node number 2 as well as node number 3 is connected to the element number 2. Next, this is 3 2 and this one is 3 3. Okay, this is corresponding to node number 1. Node number 1 is not connected to the element number 2, so these terms are 0. This row is 0. Okay, that is 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 and 4 1 and 1 2 1 3 1 4. Again fourth node is also not connected to the element number 2, so these terms that is on first row, first column, last row, last column, that is fourth row and fourth column are 0 because 1 and 4 nodes are not connected to the element number 2. Now for third stiffness matrix, you can see here, third you will get here 1 and 2. This is the stiffness matrix for third element. First and second node is not connected to the element number 3, so rows and columns corresponding to the first and second node are 0. Okay, and locations of the coefficients of the stiffness matrices in the element number 3 are at 3 3 3 4 4 3 and 4 4. Okay, these are the locations of the coefficients of the stiffness matrices of individual element in the global stiffness matrix. Okay, after that, after writing these locations, you take the addition of these stiffness matrices as a global stiffness matrix. That means for calculation of the global stiffness matrix, by putting these coefficients at appropriate locations, you take the addition, that is K1 plus K2 plus K3, that will give the global stiffness matrix. You see this assembled stiffness matrix or global stiffness matrix, K is equal to K1 plus K2 plus K3. Here your K1 is this one, K2 is this one, K3 is this one. Now when we take the addition of this, you will get this stiffness matrix. Now after calculation of the global stiffness matrix, you check addition of the columns. Addition of the columns, you see here, addition of the columns is 0. If you can take addition of any column, it will be 0. And this is one check for the global stiffness matrix. Again, one more check is you check the diagonal elements. Diagonal elements are all non-zero positive. Okay. If your stiffness matrix is satisfying these properties, then your calculation is correct. Otherwise, it is not correct. Now this is manual calculation. How we can do this process by using Scilab software, that I will explain. Now for that purpose, I will first define the stiffness matrix with all zero elements, and then I am going to add one by one with appropriate location, that is at appropriate locations. Now I will define one stiffness matrix with zeros, and size of that stiffness matrix or size of that matrix is equal to the total degrees of the freedom, or it is the size of global stiffness matrix, that is 4 by 4, 4 comma 4. This is the matrix of zeros. Now for assembling or for adding the stiffness matrices, I will write one function. Now I will write the function first, then I will explain. Now it is a suppose function keyword. Now I will write return value, suppose y, this equal to the, now arguments I want to transfer. Now first argument, it is the zero stiffness matrix, that is k, this k. Now to receive this, again I will use same notation. Next I want to add stiffness matrices of each element, so I will write the small k for receiving the stiffness matrices of all elements. Now here you have to receive, or for locations we need some variables. That means there are two locations, I and j. For defining that two locations, I will use I and j arguments. After that, I will define the body of the function. Now see here in capital K I, capital K I, it is I comma I equal to K I plus k small k 1. Now what will happen here, I will show you what will happen here. This kii, when I transfer this matrix 0, now if I assume I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 2, now if I transfer this zero matrix, this value is 0, and in k, if I transfer the k1, this one, it is first element of the k1, that is this element. Okay. Now next one k I j, it is I is equal to, if I take I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 2, it becomes I j, or it is k 1 2. Now I will write k equal to k I j, that means it is the again 0. In this, what I am going to add, I want to add k 1 2. Next k j I equal to k j I plus k 2 1. Next k j k 2 2 equal to k j plus k 2 2. Now how it will work, I will show you. Now if I transfer this k, that is if I transfer this k in this matrix or in this function. That is, this k is matrix of zeros with 4 columns and 4 rows. Okay, now this k, in place of this k, I want to transfer this k1. K1 means this k1 which we have calculated here. Okay, now here in first step, and I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 2. In first step, this is 0 plus k11. K11 means it is the first coefficient of this matrix, that is matrix of first element, stiffness matrix of first element. Now that means this 0 is replaced by this k11. That means first coefficient of first stiffness matrix, that is stiffness matrix of first element. Now first we have replaced, that means you will get this term. Now for second term, for this term, what I have done, I have here ij. That means ij is kij. This kij is again 0 because it is the k12. K12 means it is second element in the 0 matrix. That is 0 plus k12. K12 it is the term on first row and second column, of the stiffness matrix of first element. Now this is k21. Now it is again 0 and plus k21 of the first element or first stiffness matrix. Now next k22 plus k22 of first stiffness matrix. Okay. Now next one more statement I want to write, that is I want to assign this matrix, that is resultant k, to the y, so it will return the value of k. Now I will call this function. You can see here how I can call. Now I will write k1 or k equal to directly k equal to, because k will be, we want to replace this 0k. K is equal to assembly. Here I have not given the name, I have to give the name for this assembly here, assembly. In arguments, what I want to transfer, it is capital K, it is the matrix of all zeros. Next k1, it is the matrix of first element. Next first element is connected to the node number 1 and 2, so I will transfer 1 and 2. Okay, because we are replacing the elements at, or we are putting the elements at first row, first column, second row, second column. Okay, that means first 4 coefficients we are going to replace. Now I will display this, we will check it, display k. It is the location or putting the stiffness matrix k1 at its own its a proper location. Now I will execute it. Now you check the, now you see this one, this matrix which we have written, it is exact same to this one with remaining terms 0. Now next one again I will call this function. Now this time while calling this function, this k I am going to transfer here, and this I am going to replace by k2, and in place of I and j I am going to replace 2 and 3. Okay, how I can do it, I will show you. It is automatically, it will transfer this k because we have replaced the values of this k by this function. Now this k, here I am going to transfer k2, and here it is 2, 3. Again you can display the k. Now it will be the addition of this matrix and this matrix, and this matrix. Why? Because we are appending the matrix, we are changing the matrix in every step. Okay, now for third element again you will write this. Now I am going to, now this k is the k calculated here, and this k is k of third element or stiffness matrix of third element, and connecting points of third elements are 3 and 4. Okay, now you can get the assembled stiffness matrix here. You check it. I will write here global stiffness matrix. Next one. Now I will execute it. You can see this. Now here, this is your first row, and one more term is here. This is first row, 0 is there. This is a column 1, column 2, column 3, and column 4. Now you can compare this with your assembled stiffness matrix. It is first term is 3 to 7, 3 to 7 minus 3 to 7. Now next is 1636 into 10 raised to 3. Okay, and third one 1309 into 10 raised to 3. This also same. Next, this is the third row means this one, and this one is fourth row, that is 002209 2209. Okay, in this way we can do the assembly of the stiffness matrices, or we can write the codes for assembly of the stiffness matrices. Now I will clear this. Next step, after calculation of the assembly, what you have to do, you write the finite element equation. Now next, for finite element equation, k into u is equal to f, that is the finite element equation. Now you put the matrix k, and u is the displacement matrix of nodes, that is u1, u2, u3, u4, and f is the force matrix f1, f2, f3, f4. Now you will get this is u1, u2, u3, u4, f1, f2, f3, f4. Now this matrix, this is the finite element equation. It is a global stiffness matrix, and these are the nodal displacements, and these are the nodal forces. Okay, after writing finite element equation, write the boundary conditions. What are the boundary conditions? If you go back to the problem, in problem your first node is fixed, that is first end is fixed and last end is fixed. That means node number 1 has 0 displacement, node number 4 has 0 displacement. If it is fixed, means here there is a support reaction, and if this fourth node is fixed, this means it has also support reaction, and forces are applied at node number 2 and 3. So your finite element equation with boundary conditions, you will get this one. You see here 0 because it is fixed, 0 because it is fixed. Now R1 is the support reaction, and force at node number 2 is 15 to 10 raised to 3. Force at node number 3 is 100 into 10 raised to 3, and R4 because node number 4 is fixed. Now we have to solve this for U2 and U3. While solving U2 and U3, you use only second and third equation. Now if you write the second equation, this term into 0, that term becomes 0. This into U2, this into U3, that is equal to the 50, and this into U2, and this into U3, this term into 0. Therefore you will get only two terms, that is equal to 100. Therefore you extract the only middle part of the matrix, because these two displacements are unknown displacements. If this displacement is also unknown, then you extract the matrix corresponding to that one. Okay, now how you can extract? You remove the first row, first column, you remove the last row and last column. Now your matrix becomes this one. You see here, I have extracted this one, and this middle term, that is 1636, and 10 raised to 3 will be cancelled here. This is minus 1309 U3. Now it is 1309 U2, 3518 U3. That is your second and third equation. Now after that you solve this second and third equation. Now before going to solve this, I will solve this and then I will show you in codes. Okay, Now you solve this for u2 and u3. When we solve this for u2 and u3, you will get these values of u2 and u3. Okay, when we solve these two equations for u2 and u3, you will get these values. Now how we can write the programs, how we can extract this? You see here it is the second row and second column, and this is the second row and third column. That means we have to extract the second row, third row, and second column, third column. In Scilab, we can extract any element of the matrix. How we can do this? I will show you. Now, for extracting the second row and second column, I will define one variable. Suppose small k equal to the. We are extracting from the assembled stiffness matrix or global stiffness matrix. So k in bracket 2:3. 2:3 means it is second row and third row. After that, you extract the second column and third column okay, third column. Okay, now it will extract the second row and third row and second column and third column. Here 2 to 3, that means row from 2 to 3 and column from 2 to 3. Okay, meaning of this, row from 2 to 3 and column from 2 to 3, it is assigned to the k. Next we will define the f. F is a force matrix, and you define here only applied forces. Now it is in matrix form. Here it is 50 kilonewton, that is E3 semicolon, it is a column matrix. Next 100 E3. Here 10 raised to 3 and 10 raised to 3 is cancelled here. 10 raised to 3 and 10 raised to 3 is cancelled here. But here we have not cancelled. We have not divided by 10 raised to 3. Therefore, in force also you have to add 10 raised to 3. Okay. After that, calculate the U matrix. U is equal to solve the simultaneous equations. That is k into U is equal to f. Or U is equal to f by k. And for doing f by k, you use backward division, that is k backward f. Next, display nodal displacements. Okay, I will just display only U, then I will go for nodal displacement afterwards. U. Okay, now you execute this and you check it, it's the answer. You see this, these are the two nodal displacements. You compare this with this one, both values are same. Now after calculation of the displacement, what you have to do, you calculate the support reactions. For calculation of the support reactions, again you use this equation, and you put U2 and U3 in this equation. That is your finite element equation, this equation. In this equation you put U2 and U3, and by putting this U2 and U3, you solve the equation number 1 and equation number 4. Okay, now here for calculation of the support reactions, you write this equation again with values of the U2 and U3. Now you solve the first equation and solve the last equation. When you solve the first equation, you will get this as a force matrix, last and first equation. Okay, this is the force at node number 1, that is support reaction at node number 1, and this is support reaction at node number 4. Now how we can do this, I will show you in Scilab. Now in Scilab, you completely define the U matrix. Suppose it is Q is equal to, you append the U matrix in U. Now how it is appended? It is 0, because first displacement is 0. Then you write the semicolon. Next you write the U. That means both the displacements are added here. Next you write the 0. That means it is actually 4 by 1 matrix. Why? Because this is 0 element, this is has 2 elements, that is u2 and u3, and this is 0 element. Now you will get this as a complete displacement matrix. Complete displacement matrix, you can see here, display displacement matrix. Now I will display the u, and if I run this, you can see here it is 0, u2, u3, 0. Here these two are fixed. Now next one for calculation of the support reactions, you take the product of global stiffness matrix and this displacement matrix. Now I will write the F as a force matrix, and capital K is my global stiffness matrix, and capital U is my displacement matrix. Now I will display force matrix, and it is capital F. Okay, now I will execute it. Now you can see here, this is a force matrix. You can compare this with your solution. Here this is a force matrix, and this one is also force matrix. You can compare these values and you check the addition of these forces. It is nearly equal to 0, 125, 165 and 24834. Addition of these two, it is nearly equal to these two. These two are positive and these two are negative, and addition of these two, addition of all these forces equal to 0 means it is in equilibrium. After that, you have to calculate the strain. For calculation of the strain, you see this one, strain in element number 1. It is displacement of node number 2 minus displacement of node number 1 divided by length of the element. Okay. Now same thing you have to repeat for element number 2. Same thing you have to repeat for element number 3. That is u3 minus u2 divided by L2 and u4 minus u3 divided by L3. These are the displacements of, these are the strains of element number 1, 2 and 3. Now same calculation we are repeating 3 times. So we can define the function. For strain in element with arguments as u2, u1 and L1. That is u, and L. Or I will write here ui, uj and L. Okay. Now how we can do this in Scilab, I will show you. Now I will open again this script. Now I will define the function for the strain. While defining the function for the strain, here again I will write function. Now in arguments I will write, okay, you can use any other name, suppose x. Okay, x equal to now E strain means it is elemental strain. What you have to transfer, suppose u1 comma u2, sorry, not u1 u2, I will write ui comma uj comma L. These 3 arguments I am going to transfer. Okay, next one. Now I am going to calculate the strain. Suppose E is the variable for the strain. Okay, you can use x directly. X is equal to, in bracket, uj minus ui divided by L. Okay. Now here I will end the function. Now I will call this function for element number 1. While calling this function for element number 1, now I will write E1 equal to E1, it is a strain in element number 1 equal to E strain, E strain. Now what I have to transfer? UI means it is displacement of node number 1. What is displacement of node number 1? It is capital U1, capital 1 U1. Next capital U2 is the displacement of node number 2. Next, length of the element number 1, it is L1. Now I will display this, display strain in element 1, strain in element number 1. Now I will write here E1. Now we will check it. Now I will again click on save and execute, and I will see the output. Now you see this strain in element number 1. Now here also you can see the strain in element number 1. It is 0.00253. It is also 0.00253. That means our defined function is correct. Now I will go to the calculation of remaining strains. E2 is strain in element number 2, and here node number, displacement of node number 2, it is your U2, and displacement of node number 3, it is your U3, and length of element number 2. Here display the strain in element 2 and it is U2. Okay. Next one, for third element it is E3, displacement of node number 3, displacement of node number 4, and length of the element 3. Here this is a strain in element number 3. Okay. Now again you execute and you see the strains in all elements. Now see this, strain in element number 1 is this one, strain in element number 2 is this one, and strain in element number 3 is this one. Okay. Now these are matching with these results. Next I will go to the stress calculation. Stress is product of strain into modulus of elasticity. Just you have to multiply by modulus of elasticity to all strains, you will get the stresses. Now here I will calculate S1 I am using as a notation for the stress. It is E into E1. Next S2, it is equal to E into E2, it is a strain in element number 2. S3 is equal to E into E3, it is a strain in element number 3. Now I will display all the strains, all the stresses. It is S1, S2, S3. It is, I will write here stresses. Now I will run this. Now you see this output. Okay, S1 is not defined. S1, yes, I have not used here small and capital. Okay, I will use all capitals. See this now. Now you see this one. Now you can check here stresses in the elements. One is 50.59, minus 12.82, minus 28.33. All the stresses are correct. In this way we can do the analysis of the stepped bar. Okay.